What are your thoughts around PMI becoming involved in the Agile space?
I think it's a good thing. I'm glad to see it finally happening. I think it might have been good if it happened earlier, quite honestly, but I think it's the right direction for PMI and for the project management profession as a whole. One of the things that we certainly learned developing the business analysis body of knowledge is that Agile forced us to ask what really is the essence of our profession. And I think it's doing the same for project managers. It's making them say, what things are really critical to effective management of a project versus what are the things that we do because we've always done them, right? Or that maybe practice we carried over from other domains where they were necessary.
What are your thoughts regarding defining a set of good practices for the Agile certified practitioner?
Again, I am very much in favor of it. I think what we find is that without that baseline, without that kind of understanding of what works, and without some way to go out and find out what that is, it becomes very hard for people who are entering or beginning to develop their own personal experience in that area to know what it is they're supposed to learn. I mean, typically, if you look at something like the Dreyfus skill model, what you see is that in the early days, somebody becomes a practitioner of any discipline or any profession, they have to understand the basic rules. They have to get a sense of what it is they're expected to know and learn how to use that. And once they've mastered that, then it becomes possible for them to go on and innovate and create new ideas. But without that baseline understanding, they're not going to get to that point. They're just going to struggle to, be one of those people who has 1 year of experience repeated 20 times.
What trends are you noticing in the Agile community?
I think the Agile community is adapting to being successful, right? It's for a very long time, a lot of people who've been involved in Agile were outsiders who saw themselves as outsiders, people who were rebelling against what they saw as a ineffective way of doing software development. And suddenly it's a bit of a shock to hear people saying, you know what, you guys were right. And yeah, we wanted to start doing Agile. But the challenge there, of course, is that a lot of people who say they want to do Agile are now saying it because, hey, who wouldn't want to be Agile, right? Being Agile must be a good thing. And so I think the Agile community is struggling both with, what it means to be Agile. How do we keep people understanding what Agile is? How do we avoid it being diluted into, a set of fads, buzzwords that don't really mean anything? And at the same time, how do we open up to bring in, these communities, these people who, if Agile is going to become adopted by the broader community, need to become Agile themselves, like project management, like business analysis, like user experience, testing, groups that fell outside that core development concept that was the basis for Agile.
As Agile software development crosses the chasm, what are the major challenges you see facing the community over the next couple of years?
Well, I think the big challenge is the one I touched on a bit in the last answer. It's what is going to happen as companies say they adopt Agile, do some Agile-like things, and then fail, and turn around and blame that on Agile. I've had conversations with business analysts who tell me that their company is moving to Agile, and so I ask them some of the obvious questions. What's your iteration cycle? Oh, we don't have one. We deliver, at some point, whenever. Okay, great. Do you do regular builds? No, we do that when we're about to do a release. Do you have a customer you can reach out and talk to about your problems? No. And the list goes on and on and on. Yet somehow they're being told they're doing Agile, right? And so I think there is going to be at some point that need to communicate somehow that when these things fail, when these companies say, we tried Agile, it didn't work, to help them understand, no, you didn't try Agile. And maybe it would have worked for you, and maybe it wouldn't have if you had actually done it.
What are your hopes and wishes for the future of the Agile community?
My hopes are that the Agile community continues to be a learning community, that we don't hit a point where it all becomes about Scrum and how you do Scrum, and I think, in fact, the Agile community is trying to prevent that from being the case. If Agile is going to mean anything, it has to be adopt some of the core principles of ideas like Lean, where you never stand still. right? So where we are today, what we know today, is not what we're going to know 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And I think if Agile continues to be valid and relevant in 10 years, it will be because the Agile community managed to do that.